Shadows and light. It is hard for us to discern the subtle changes that are occurring in modern society. In the same way that we hardly notice ourselves aging, we are too close to the problem, if we can call it a problem. For some it is, for some it isn't. Gradually, we've abandoned love for lust, so that we are unable to separate the two in our minds. Nowadays, there are very few places where we can go to find that lost innocence that we once had. There is an increasing obsession with forbidden fruit, and no one raises an eyebrow at sexually orientated scenes in films or on TV. After saying that, it appears that there is an ever greater danger arising from the portrayal of violence in the media. A film may last for 90 minutes and contain 85 minutes of violence and only 5 minutes of sex, but it is 10 times more likely that the phones will ring and the letters and emails will fly as a result of those 5 minutes than in protest of the sickening and gratuitous violence. So is all of this just harmless fun, or are there deeper elements to it all that will have a lasting effect upon the individual and the society as a whole? Well, the first question to ask ourselves is, where is the spirit in all of this? We have a legacy of concepts and ideas left by materialistic science and the fundamental religionists, who inadvertently drive us into the realms of lust and violence due to the very fact that these things are given a mysterious and glamorous appeal to those searching for alternatives to the drabness of modern society. The living of a spiritual and ennobling life is abandoned in favor of the easy option, which is to give in to our baser emotions, which are easily aroused in the current climate. This is not such a straightforward thing as many would have us believe, nor is it in any way harmless, as we have completely lost the sacred nature of the sex act, which is designed to produce a child, not a lump of protoplasm, but a living entity, a soul. The true beauty of human communication and relationships have long been traded in for baubles, for shallow thoughts and indecent emotions. Are there still people who understand what love is? So what is it? Let's explore. At the very beginning of time, there was harmony. All the great scriptures of the world mention this. This very first flutter of activity that was pristine and pure. It was an immense overall feeling and experience of oneness, of unadulterated spirituality. Later, it was polluted and twisted out of all recognition by the carnal mind of man. But its basic elements are still there, and even in sexual love, there is a reminder of this desire for union with the better elements of our being. But the fact remains that it is almost impossible for most of us to understand what pure love is. We even doubt its existence. It has long disappeared behind the dense clouds of lustfulness. We can't see any alternative to the shallowness that we see and feel as the opposite. Worse still, we don't even think of it. We don't think that there is anything beyond physical and emotional union. We are swamped with mind-numbing images, and we are losing sight of our real nature, the true man and the true woman. We certainly should look upon each other as temples of the divine, not tombs where all that is dead rots. Look upon woman as the goddess and man as the god. Woman as the Kuan Yin in Chinese philosophy, or Radha, the consort of Krishna in the Indian tales, or the countless similar images in world mythology. Man could be a Krishna, a Radha, or many other heroes in the world scriptures and teachings and stories and myths. Here is the highest conception of manhood and womanhood that takes us beyond the physical form to the mysteries of the hidden nature. We surely need to resurrect the poetry in our souls. We do not require the realist school of thought in which art reflects so-called reality, i.e. those very things that the eye can see and the degraded mind feel. We need instead to be able to dive deep into our illumined hearts and bring back mystic pearls for the world to see and to appreciate. The poet or artist or musician must open doors of perception for those who are lost in the cacophony of the world's images and sounds, drowning in a sea of unwholesome thoughts and visions, fired by the greed and lust of a comparative few who feed off the many like the vampires of old. The goal needs to be the regeneration of humanity, the spiritual raising of those who are capable of appreciating the beauty of the human condition and who are keen to drive all brutality from their hearts so that they can be the harbingers of a golden age of light and love to this sad world, to this empty eon. Selfishness, indifference, and brutality can never be the normal state of mankind. To believe this will be to despair of humanity, and no one should do this. So long as the spark remains, we should struggle to keep it alive and learn the secrets of looking upon others as spiritual beings, and thereby releasing the imprisoned vision that dwells behind the screen of sensuality. We all have our own secret gardens, which are the deeps of our very soul. In the whole universe, there is no one else but us. We are the beginning and the end of everything. Now, this may sound selfish on the surface, but for those who are capable of thinking deeply and meditating upon the sublime essence of all things, it becomes crystal clear that there is no such thing as separateness, that only one pair of eyes looks out upon the world, that there is only one being. Love is the appreciation of that fact and the living of our lives in tune with this fundamental teaching. We look for complexities. Our minds prevent us from realizing the simple truth that we are free if we only accept that freedom, instead of creating 1,000 reasons why we shouldn't. We are afraid of freedom, afraid to be happy, afraid to be alive, afraid to love, afraid to live, and afraid to die. We are bound only by a misunderstanding of what we are, what we truly are. The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky and all the great scriptures and teachings by all the great minds and teachers around the world tell us that we are divine beings and that we are on a sacred journey, a pilgrimage towards all that is good, true, and beautiful, and then beyond to nameless realms. Sometimes we need to stop and refocus to say to ourselves, hey, I'm losing sight of my true nature amidst this cacophony of daily life. Let's take some time to feel what really matters. No matter what we do, we are always it, capital I-T. We never stray from reality. We only make ourselves think that we have. The mind is certainly the great slayer of the real, the lower aspects of the mind. But the great hope that Pandora left in her box was that behind the clouds, the sun is shining. Love is waiting, and in love's realm, ages pass without touching her purity. There's something much greater than all those things that seem to rule the world at the moment. They're like candles before the sun of truth and have no rule over our souls unless we let them. We create our own scenarios of darkness and we live them. This is all too easy in this world of shadows. We have many willing hands to lead us down the garden path. We are surrounded by negative influences, negativity being the keynote of modern society, masquerading under the banner of positive thought. The truth is that nothing can be positive that takes us away from our basic oneness with all things, with all that lives. We have the power to focus all our energies on the one reality and therefore dispel the myriad images that distract constantly. We have that asylum, that resting place and harbour where we can go to understand the realities of existence, the realities that are hidden behind the rush of life or seeming life. Our shadows or personal selves come and go. What is eternal is the true man and the true woman, whom the hour will never strike, as the voice of the silence by H.P. Blavatsky tells us. We need to focus upon that higher self to be sure that we will not be carried away by the vagaries of life in today's society, and to seek and find that true love, which is to be our talisman. If we look beyond the shadows to the light, nothing that is in the world will be able to distract us from our goal, and we will discover what is natural and good beyond the unclean and unstable imaginings of mortal man. Om Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. Peace on earth and goodwill to all beings.